Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Butler, three. Kaminga up high for the board. Butler inside. Hayden, 7 to shoot. Curry, deep one. Bullseye. Steph Curry. Alien-like tendencies showcase in downtown Los Angeles.
Yes, and with that, we welcome you in. Noah Eagle on the call there. The NBA back on NBC. Took a little while to get there, thanks to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets, as they go a couple of overtimes. But the NBA is back, and it's back in the Bay and back in Southern California as well. Warriors 1-0 as they beat the Lakers tonight, 119-109. We welcome you in to Dubs OT with JD here on eSports Leader. 808 KNBR is the number, 415-808-5627. Great to be with you. We've got Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios, and it's a pleasure to be joined for hour number 5 by Greg Silver here, host, of course, of Papa and Silver daily from 10 to 2 here on eSports Leader. Greg, what's going on, my man? Good to be with you. 4 hours this morning and on into the afternoon, and now a couple of more here to close it out with Dubs OT.
Yeah, as the intro said, JD, long time no talk to. Of course, I'm joking. We did 4 hours together, but it's been a while since I heard that intro, and I'm super excited to be back on a little Dubs OT, and that was a great way to start the season there for the Warriors. I mean, no LeBron James. It's a game you feel like you can go in and win, and I know there were a lot of turnovers on both ends. I checked the clock at one point. I think there was 5:33 to go in the second quarter, and we had a combined 24 turnovers, a lot of offensive fouls. It was sloppy on both sides at certain points, but the Warriors in the third quarter came out. They were buckled up. And, yeah, Lakers made a little bit of a late push, but it wasn't the typical last few years Warriors playing around too much with a late lead. They took care of business. Jimmy Butler was fantastic. Buddy Hield was hitting shots. Jonathan Kaminga, what he did particularly in the second half. And then Steph Curry, maybe on the list of his all-time performances, doesn't fall anywhere in the special category, but he still does what only very few people can do, and he had that closing shot you just heard us there in the opening highlight.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you here. We'll keep this thing going on into the night, at least 90 minutes. We'll see how late we can take it, how late Kyle Hart allows us to take it. So 1-0 on the season. They win it 119-109, the final. So line them up at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open as well. And the best YouTube chat in sports is off and rolling. We'll get to Kyle's clicks here over the course of the next 90 minutes to 2 hours as the Warriors, I think, put to rest some of the concerns. And we talked about it today, Greg. Would the uneven preseason after the first week be something, nothing, or everything? And I think through one game, it's essentially nothing. You pointed out the sloppy start to this game, but in reality, the Warriors win it in the first quarter, and they win it in the third quarter. They outscore the Lakers 28-22 in the first quarter. The Lakers with a late run after the Warriors had built a 10-point lead right before halftime to take a brief lead, but the Warriors carried a 1-point lead into the break, but it was the third quarter that wound up allowing the Warriors to again cement a much more comfortable gap, and some big three-pointers from Jonathan Kaminga in the third quarter, a couple of big threes for Buddy Hield in the fourth. I think Draymond, as the Lakers were kind of making their final push, he knocked down a key three, and Will Richard showing himself in his NBA debut, not one that Steve Kerr went with in the starting lineup tonight, but somebody that was definitely going to get some rotation minutes for Moses Moody, the way that he played throughout the course of the preseason with Moody out. And Will Richard looks like a real pro here to begin his NBA career. But just some early thoughts here. Greg, you said it. I mean, it was a Jimmy Butler game. I mean, how can we go, 5-6 minutes into the program and not really just shout out Jimmy Butler, because he looked spectacular tonight in terms of just controlling the game. Plus 20 along with Draymond Green, game high plus 20 for both of them. But the Warriors got scoring from four big time players in a big time way. The 31 from Jimmy Butler, 16 for 16 at the free throw line. He commanded the game, really. I mean, everything kind of went through Jimmy for a lot of the night, and he was in attack mode. And the Lakers really just had no answer in terms of the ability to defend him without fouling. Steph Curry, 3 of 9 from 3, but goes for 23 points, gets to the line. Warriors got to the line 29 times. Now, the Lakers, interestingly enough, got to the line 28 times, but the Warriors made their free throws. The Lakers did not. The Warriors 26 of 29. The Lakers 17 of 28 at the free throw line. The Warriors also shot the 3 ball exceptionally well at 42.5%, 17 of 40. But it was a Jimmy and Steph led game. And then Kaminga and Buddy Hield came along with 17 points apiece. And in the third quarter, Kaminga with 13 of the 17 in the third. He was 5 for 5 shooting after he got off to a 1 for 6 start. He turned, as I said on social media, an inefficient game into a really efficient game just in about a 5-6 minute stretch of the third quarter. But as far as Kaminga goes, it wasn't about the scoring at all for me, although the Warriors needed it. I mean, Jonathan Kaminga, I think tonight did things that we've never seen Jonathan Kaminga do in terms of his intent and his spirit. And oh, by the way, he put up numbers in other it wasn't 17 and 4 3-point makes, although he did equal a career high in that. It was 17 with 9 boards and 6 assists, and he was really trying to defend against Luka when he was matched up on him. Greg, I thought the Warriors defensively tonight, you knew Luka was going to get his, but the Warriors really sensed that it was going to have to be a ton of Luka and a little bit of Austin Reeves, and the Lakers just don't have enough other offense without LeBron James, period. And the Warriors were relentlessly trapping Luka and basically saying, you can play 4-on-3. Because we don't think you can beat us 4-on-3 on the back end. They got beat a little bit early on the back end, but not nearly enough to really make the Warriors pay over the course of the game. And so they were going to make Luka shoot it a ton. I thought the defensive game plan was really aggressive and making Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves work while also daring the rest of the Lakers to kind of beat them in terms of being able to play make and score and get to the line and do different things. And the Lakers are just not up to the task without LeBron James, and the Warriors able to take advantage there. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Greg, what do you say we get to the phone lines? We get things rolling here on the Sports Leader as the Warriors improve to 1-0. Let's get it going with Eric in San Francisco is going to be our tip-off caller tonight here. Dubs OT. Game 1 of the regular season, and you're with us here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, Eric?
Hey, JD, much better than the last time we spoke after the end of the Timberwolves season, so it's a good way to start the season.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to echo your points. I agree that with Minga, the thing that was most impressive tonight wasn't the 17 points. We've seen him score 30. It wasn't the 4 made threes. We've seen him have good shooting games before, although his stroke does look improved, a little more compact, a little more flowy. But it was all the little stuff, the non-stupid fouls. He only had 2 turnovers, one of which came off when he was trying to save the rebound on the offensive basket interference no call on DeAndre Ayton. So he really only had 1 turnover. And it's the 9 boards, and it's the 6 assists, and he's been playmaking all preseason. If he's going to be, and I thought his most impressive basket was actually the backdoor cut where Draymond fed him for that layup, where he was moving off the ball. So, I mean, if he's going to play like that with, added aggression on defensive rebounding, a little bit of playmaking flair, that's just something we haven't seen. And also, I also thought it was impressive that he didn't, he started off a little slow with his shot, but he didn't force it, and he didn't get too down on himself. So, I'm wondering if it could be kind of a Jermaine O'Neal situation with him where, Jermaine O'Neal, came out of high school, didn't get a lot of burn with those championship runs or near championship runs with the Portland Trail Blazers. He gets traded to the Pacers in like his 4th or 5th year. And then he ended up, blossoming into a very good player. I'm not saying Kaminga is going to be an all NBA player or anything like that, but it could just be, he did just turn 23, like 2 weeks ago? I think people are too quick to write off prospects sometimes, and it could be that the game is slowing down for him in this 4th year. And if he gets a little more run time and he's willing to commit to the little things, this.
Well, the one thing I'm going to jump in. Let me jump in real quick here. The one thing that I think is apparent, Eric, is he and Steve Kerr sat down once the contract stuff was done, and he was going to be back with the Warriors as training camp started. And I think whether he's comfortable because he got the pay bump, or just relieved to have it over, or whether he sees it maybe as his pathway onto another team in a role that he wants, elsewhere. They clearly got on the same page because the message was received because he has been, and you mentioned the preseason, he has been more than willing to look to do the other things that he just hadn't been doing, even in the preseason. And it kind of made you wonder how it was going to translate to an actual game. And for whatever reason, he's played really well. I think that the Lakers have some athleticism, but they lack some athleticism on the wing that I think allows for Kaminga's game to translate maybe a little bit more fluidly. He had a real nice game in April down in LA when the Warriors won. One of the better games after the Jimmy Butler trade. So he plays well against the Lakers. I think he likes the challenge of going up against Luka and in April LeBron. It kind of motivates him a little bit, maybe being on the big stage. But the big thing to me, Eric, is that him and Kerr found some common ground, and it's obvious because he's trying to rebound, he's trying to defend, he's looking to pass as opposed to just attack for a pull-up mid-range jumper. It really does look like a different player, but you can see it. He's thinking the game differently, at least trying to, and I think that's what's given this thing at least a chance to get off on the right foot here as the season begins.
Yeah, and
Eric, thanks.
Butler,
yeah. Thanks, Eric. We're going to keep it moving here. 808 KNBR, great phone call to get us tipped off here, not only for tonight, but for the season here on Dubs OT. Greg, any thoughts just real quick on that before we get back to the phones and Drew Down?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot that we can sort through, so I want to make sure we get to the people because I know that they've been waiting months and months for it. So I got plenty of thoughts. We can get through it in the coming discussion here, but let's keep it moving on the lines. I love it.
All right, let's keep it going. Drew Down is up next here in Tracy on the Sports Leader. It's Dubs OT with JD. We got Greg Silver. We got Kyle Haar. Warriors win the season opener down in Los Angeles, 119-109. They are 1-0, and it was I think, impressive victory in a lot of ways, especially considering a little bit of an uneven preseason. What's going on, Drew Down?
John Dickinson, the man of the hour who's too sweet to be sour, the reflection of perfection, the post-game host who's got my attention. Just want to say, I hate the Lakers. I hate the Lakers. I hate the Lakers. Marcus Smart is a dirty bum. Gilbert Arenas, a.k.a. Agent Zero Brain Cell, said Jimmy is not a true number two. I think he showed tonight that he's definitely a true number two, scoring and controlling the pace of the game when Curry is off the floor. So it's one game. I don't want to get too much into the analysis. 1-0, on to Denver. Let's go. I'm excited about this season, man. Let's go Warriors.
Appreciate the call, Drew Down. And look, it's 1-0. It's an impressive 1-0, I think, in the way that the Warriors did it. It wasn't perfect. There were a lot of turnovers early, but the Warriors were forcing turnovers early. It was both ways. I think a lot of that was rust. And I think at some point, were they trying to make up, Greg, for the fact that a lot of people didn't get a chance to watch the first quarter and a half by trying to extend the first half to make it longer by just calling more and more fouls? It was really choppy, and the second half was a lot more smooth and moved a lot faster than the first half did. But I thought the Warriors played with real good intent defensively tonight. The ball was really moving tonight, I thought, for the most part. And then when it wasn't, it was going to Jimmy Butler, and they were just running everything through him, and he was in complete control tonight of the game, really from start to finish.
Yeah, it's a good call on the first half and all those fouls. I joked that Marcus Smart was trying to set a record for most foul calls involved in for a single game, whether it was charged to him, whether it was the flagrant foul, whether it was fouls that he drew by trying to get his way into contact. That was a very clunky second quarter. But no, the Warriors and the ball movement, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The third quarter and the way they came out, 16-4 advantage right there before that first timeout. I mean, that was a big part of the game. And we know that in today's NBA, when you go on a big run like that, it is not what it used to be 15 years ago. Like, there is a lot of basketball left. Even at the end, when the Warriors had that 15-point lead and Richard hits the three, you're thinking, okay, there is plenty of time for this thing to go sideways if they don't take care of business. But what I did like about that fourth quarter is, and you noted this on your social media, Steve Kerr was pretty quick to burn a lot of timeouts. He had a short leash with that team, and then he put the subs back in.
He took three.
He did
in about 4 minutes.
Yeah, and it was for a good cause, because that last one was to get the right lineup back at the game at the end, put it in the hands of the people that had been controlling it all night. I think Kaminga being out there in the closing lineup, you could have probably gone without Podziemski, but for the most part, this was not a lineup in the end that showed any semblance of overthinking, and so you just let the OGs handle business, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, he got Draymond back in the game for Horford right at about the 4 minute mark. He got Jimmy Butler back in the game for Will Richard right at that 4 minute mark. That was the third of the three timeouts. So he did make the decision at that point to close with Curry, Podziemski, Jimmy Butler, Kaminga, and Draymond. The five that started the game tonight were the five that closed the game for the Warriors, and I think it was the right call. I don't think there was another option tonight. Brandon Podziemski, I think, I don't know, a little maligned just because he tends to always be. I thought Podziemski was fine tonight. 32 minutes, 7 points. He had 7 boards himself. Didn't shoot the three ball well. Defensively, I think at times he got attacked a little bit. They made, Will Richard was getting some time. GP2 was getting some time. GP2 got off to a brutal start offensively, missing a couple of layups and having an offensive foul, and he ended up with 3 turnovers. But I thought all in all, in balance, it was the correct call to start Jonathan Kaminga. We talked about it a lot today, Papa and Silver. I thought it made a lot of sense considering the fact that he'd played well against the Lakers previously, and considering the fact that you were going to probably try to separate Al Horford and Draymond Green in terms of, the two centers. He got Quentin Post in there a little bit at the start of the second and fourth quarters. That was kind of the normal rotation. And then whoever starts is one thing, but whoever finishes is going to be dictated by who the best players are at a given position on a given night around Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. And tonight, Kaminga certainly earned one of those spots from the starting position. And you're going to want to have another ball handler, playmaker, guard out there. And so I think Podziemski's going to get the benefit of the doubt a lot of those nights. When will he not maybe get the benefit of the doubt on some of those nights? Probably not until D'Anthony Melton is back and in the mix. Yep. But let's be honest, there is going to be an option, Greg, for Steve Kerr to go away from Podziemski that really wasn't there last year after, D'Anthony Melton was traded for Schroeder when he got injured. And then that all kind of turned into what the Jimmy Butler trade became, with a bunch of different pieces going a bunch of different directions. So feather in the cap of Steve Kerr for the starting decision and not letting it go too long as the Lakers were making their run in the fourth quarter, although I do think they got it down to 105-99 before the Warriors put it away. That was when Draymond came out of the third timeout, and Draymond back in the game ended up hitting a corner 3. And that was kind of all right, it's not over, but it feels like it's about over. Some timely 3-point makes. I know I mentioned a little bit. It was the Kaminga 3 threes in the third. And I give Kaminga a lot of credit because they were daring him to shoot those. And the worst part of the game tonight for the Warriors was the end of the second quarter. And I thought the front line of Draymond with Kaminga and Butler was fine to start the game. it was fine to finish the game. It was fine to start the third quarter, but when they went to that group at the end of the second quarter, the Lakers really sagged and the ball movement wasn't there, and the Warriors really stagnated with that group. But Kaminga, and as an extension of that coming out in the third quarter, he took the shots that were there and really in a relaxed manner and took him and confidently knocked him down after a bad start. I think that was impressive. He made his last 5 field goals, 3 of them from 3-point range after a 1-for-6 start. He was doing everything else well, but again, as I mentioned, he turned an inefficient night into a really efficient night in about 5 minutes, and the Warriors needed it.
Well, I also want to say that Kaminga, and this is not to overly fixate on his highs and lows, but I think he was the best example of his worst stretch was the end of the second quarter, and that was also the team's worst stretch at the end of the second quarter. So, I mean, for him, the missed dunk that happens to everybody, but you got to be able to finish that play. Then he didn't want to take the 3 there shortly afterwards. Pajemski ended up hitting that 3, and Jimmy draws the foul just before half to keep the Warriors having the lead. But as a team, that was by far their most disorganized, sloppiest stretch that they had all night. And so to come out in the third quarter, everybody regrouped really nicely in the way they moved the ball, but Kaminga was perhaps the best example of reflecting on the team, how worst stretch, late first half, best stretch, and great quick regroup out of the gates in the third quarter to where they never really looked back and truly relinquished control of that game.
808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Greg Silver along. We got Kyle Haar back at our San Francisco studios. Warriors are 1-0, 119-109. Big win. I think you look at this game on paper coming into it with the Lakers not playing with LeBron James, and I think if the Warriors are going to be the team that they believe they can be, I think coming in and winning this game down in Los Angeles, I think was important, right? I mean, the Lakers are kind of a top-heavy team in some ways, like the Warriors are. I think even more so. I know there was a lot of debate as to which team has the better roster around their stars. I think Austin Reeves is a hell of a third player in terms of the ability to score, but beyond that, when they have obviously LeBron and Luka together, beyond that, I mean, I like the Warriors roster a lot more beyond maybe the top 3. If you take the top 3, if you want to put Draymond as the third guy there, and with Jimmy and Steph, you want to put Reeves as the third guy with LeBron and Luka. I like the Warriors. I think the Warriors roster makes a lot more sense and is more balanced and fits the rest of the players that the Warriors have. And again, you take LeBron away, and I think the hope for the Warriors is that was going to create a significant advantage. And I think for the most part it did. Now the Warriors didn't always exploit that advantage in this game. It first game of the season, you're going to be a little bit uneven in some ways, but I think this is the kind of game that you really, if you're the Warriors, without LeBron playing for the Lakers, you really feel like you need to go in and win that game. And the Warriors were able to do it. And really, I think do it without a lot of drama, which I think was important as well.
Oh, no question. I mean, we see a lot more drama late in the NBA today in the last few years than we have really ever before, with just the fact that, I mean, they're all so skilled offensively, right? And defense is probably a little bit less of a focus, where you look at somebody like a Draymond, and that's more of an old school type of player at this point with how long he has been in the league. They can all hit threes. Everybody's efficient enough from the free throw line. So any double-digit lead with a few minutes left is far from over. But the Warriors, for that to get down to 6 and then for them to regroup out of the timeout, I think that in the context of today's NBA, JD, that's about as stress-free of closing business on the road in the fourth quarter as you can ask for, knowing that at some point, particularly if the team is at home and you'd like to think they're somewhat evenly matched, they were going to make a push. We'll see over the long haul if the Warriors and Lakers end up being far apart in the standings or not. And obviously, in the case of both of these sides, health is going to be a big part of that, because you got older players leading the way. And I guess different with Luka Doncic now maybe than when it was with Anthony Davis. But bottom line is, still the best player around your team and what everything's going to revolve around, it's still LeBron, but they're going to try to make that Luka Doncic and sort of do like a soft transition has sort of been the goal of the offseason for them, I guess.
Let's get to Kyle's Clicks, our first installment of Kyle's Clicks here. We do have a couple of phone lines open at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We'll get to the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Warriors win at 119-109 in Los Angeles as they improve to 1-0. Rebel to Sounds getting us going here in the YouTube chat. Wait until the Warriors add Melton, Moody, and Seth. Yeah, I really thought not having Moses Moody at the beginning of the year was going to be problematic, and where would Steve Kerr go in an attempt to kind of offset what Moody typically provides, and he really played well that first week, had a good first week of camp, had that great first game against the Lakers in the preseason before he went down, and then Jimmy was kind of in and out, and there was just a lot of, do the Warriors have enough? Are they going to be in sync enough? I thought for the most part tonight they were pretty in sync, and it was really, Kaminga who offset, I think, a lot of not having Moody in terms of knocking down some of the threes. And, I thought Will Richard played some minutes in his spot that would give him, an opportunity. He was just steady, man. He just really, really steady. And so, yeah, the Warriors are going to add some depth to the mix here. And I think Melton for sure. Just having another guard that has the ability to play make a little and defend up and just handle the ball a little bit, just a steadying factor if he can remain healthy. There's no doubt more shooting in Seth, more of a little bit of everything in terms of Moody and Melton, and Moody truly is he's probably the lone true small forward on the roster. I know sometimes he plays the 2, sometimes he plays the 4. But he is the most true, I think, small forward other than Jimmy Butler, and Butler himself plays a lot of 4 depending upon the lineups that are out there, Greg.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, after Andrew Wiggins went out, a lot had to adjust in terms of who was going to fill Wiggins' type of role, and Moses Moody, both as more of a natural small forward and as someone who proved to be able to defend on the ball, was that guy. It's funny that you bring up Seth Curry as well, because I was going to say earlier when we were talking about options outside of Podziemski, if it's not his night in that closing lineup, I got to look a little bit more into Seth and his ball handling and maybe playmaking abilities. But I was thinking, hey, when he ends up coming back, and I know we're a long way away from that because we got many Dubs OTs from now until then, but that could be another option in addition to D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah, no, I think so, and especially a regular season option that can, I think Seth is somebody that can play a lot in the regular season, and it just, Melton gives you a little insurance for Podziemski. Horford gives you a little insurance, although he's going to play more than post most nights, but you kind of have them as a little bit of a tandem. And I think Seth is somebody you could plug in, if you ever needed, maybe for Buddy, although Buddy sometimes will play a little bit of a small ball, small forward himself, but it's somebody else that you can just put out there that can stretch the floor if you're down a shooter. And, a lot of nights in the regular season, you can get away with having Seth Curry out there on the court. And yeah, he can handle it a little bit, maybe as a combo guard, but knock down some shots whenever he winds up being back in the fold. Let's continue here. More Kyle's Clicks. Let's go a little rapid fire. Max Lopez, welcome. The Warriors look so much more fresh than the Lakers in the second half, even after that run in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I mean, I'm looking at the minutes totals here tonight, and I think the Warriors do want to keep their main guys around. I think they'd rather have it be more 32, 33 among the older guys. Draymond only played 29 or 28 tonight. Jimmy played 35. Steph right around 32. I feel like 32, 33 is about where they want to keep Steph. Kaminga 33 tonight because he earned it. Podziemski 32 because they really lack the playmaking guards, and he is one of their starters. I thought it was a nice balanced minute distribution. I thought overall tonight, and I think the Lakers or the Warriors are just the Warriors are. I think when you are more skilled at more positions, I think you look a little fresher when you can move and get to the bucket and play make a little bit. And the Lakers at times are just really stagnant. I mean, they're running everything through Luka or Reeves, and everybody else basically gets their shot off of one of those two. And it leads to a lot of standing around. It leads to a lot of, maybe being a step slow to the ball because you're not sure when you're going to get it or when a shot's going to go up. The Warriors were just a lot more fluid, I thought, in this game, top to bottom. Let's keep it going. Good thought there from Max. Surge 24. Don't sit JK. Keep him in the starting lineup to build his confidence up. I do know this. The starting lineup is going to be a very fluid situation. Steve Kerr mentioned that again pregame, before the game in Los Angeles. He mentioned that the starting lineup is going to be matchup based. He did explain again that it's easier to get Horford if Horford is going to be somebody who closes. And tonight, Horford wasn't the right move to close, and Steve got him out of there. I think maybe he was going to try to close with Horford, maybe. Although, again, I thought Kaminga earned it tonight. But Horford did not play well in that middle of the fourth quarter and needed to be taken out of the game and was taken out of the game. We'll see what they do going up against Joker on Thursday. And does that mean that there's a change? Could Thursday be the type of would you go Horford and Draymond in the game on Thursday? It's a question. I think Kerr probably rides with it because Kaminga played so well and that five played well together. But make no mistake, Kaminga had a great first game for getting his confidence up, for showing that he can help this team win, for his future either with the Warriors or elsewhere. Like he checked a lot of boxes tonight, and he did it under the context of winning, which I think is the most important part. But my gut says, while I do think there are potential matchup issues with Denver, Greg, my gut says Steve will keep him in the starting lineup because he played well tonight against Denver on Thursday.
I would think so if Moses Moody continues to stay out. And look, not that you need to be throwing him bones or throwing anybody on this roster bones like we got into on the daytime show, but you know what? Why not? He went out there, he made the most of that opportunity. And so you're trying to help him, he's trying to help you, and he played a lot of winning basketball tonight. So see if he can give you that when you start against Denver, because it's a different kind of matchup. And like Luka got his tonight, Jokic is going to get his. But what makes Jokic so dangerous is that he also triple doubles you and gets everybody else involved. And he and Jamal Murray work so well together. And Aaron Gordon went from a nice player on a bad team in Orlando to such a great complementary piece with those two, and also was able to hit the three ball last year. So they'll have their hands full, but I think you got to keep going with what's working here with putting Kaminga out in the starting lineup. And look, if they can get it done on Thursday against Denver, it's going to turn some heads early in the season.
Yeah, it definitely will. One more before we break here. Gisak, I think Kerr can expand and try different sets, new wrinkles off their base sets, no doubt. And I thought their base stuff looked good tonight with a lot of the cutting and the ball movement and the player movement. And it even worked at different points tonight with that front line that struggled at the end of the second quarter, but played really well together, I thought, at the beginning of the game and the beginning of the third quarter and in the closing minutes when they finished the game together after the Lakers had cut it down to 6. So quick timeout. Greg's going to hang out for one more segment. We still have a couple of phone lines open, 415-808-5627 if you want to jump in on the phone. We got the YouTube chat firing. If you want to get to the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line, we can take your thoughts there as well. We do have Sounds at Dubs OT coming up and much, much more fun with numbers. Warriors get the win on opening night, 119-109, and we're talking about it right here on the Sports Leader.
Live from downtown.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Really midway through this third quarter. It's been all Golden State since the half. Now is it Curry's turn. Mismatch with Ayton. Curry, right past him. Kick out. Kaminga again.
Pure. He's become an assassin from three-point range.
Yeah, big night for Jonathan Kaminga, at least in the third quarter from three-point range. Kaminga 5 for 5 overall in the quarter. He knocked down 3 3-pointers. He had 13 points. 13 of his 17 as the Warriors win 119-109. Third quarter goes the Warriors' way 35-25. It was even better than that at the start. Warriors jumped out to an 18-4 start to begin the third quarter after the Lakers had taken a brief lead before halftime. Warriors were up by 1 at the start of the frame and pushed the lead at that point all the way up to 15 as the Warriors would lead by as many as 17. They go on to win by 10, led by Jimmy Butler, who had 31, Steph Curry's 23, and then Jonathan Kaminga in the starting lineup with 17, 9, and 6. Also, Buddy Hield made 5 3-pointers. The Warriors 17 of 40 from distance, and they get the win. So Dubs OT rolling on here. John Dickinson, we got Greg Silver and Kyle Haar. 808 KNBR, the number, 415-808-5627 as the Warriors are 1-0. Let's get back to the phones. And we continue on here with Duck Sauce in San Jose, down in the South Bay here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, Duck Sauce?
Hey, Jay Dilla and Greg, my guys. That time of year, so good to call in, good to hear you guys on the radio. A couple takes on tonight. First, I got to give a couple L's to the Peacock app, man. Just awful rollout for opening night. I mean, they had everyone hyped. By the time they told me the Warriors game had started, it was already, I want to say, 6 minutes into the first quarter. By the time they even told you could switch over to the other game. So then I go to the Peacock app. I click to the game. It just keeps freezing on me when none of my other apps were freezing. So, I mean, just terrible, man. Terrible rollout for opening night. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kaminga. Like, I thought JD hit it on the head with it wasn't really about the scoring, the way he rebounded. And then, the passing to me was just like, you saw it in the preseason, and I was hoping it would translate in a real game, a game that mattered. And like tonight, when he had it rolling, when he went back in the fourth quarter, there was a play where he drove middle where he could have easily forced it, but he dumped it to Horford at the last second for a big bucket. And I just thought that showed a lot of growth, So, I know the cards are kind of stacked against him for the way everything's kind of unfolded, but I can't lie. I was happy to see him play well tonight, and I thought Jimmy looked great. I love the way the ball was hopping around. The rookie really impressed me. I thought he was really poised out there. The only guy, I tend to look at things pessimistically sometimes. The only guy I didn't think looked too great tonight. It's early, but I thought Horford looked his age tonight. I really did. I didn't like what I saw from Horford, but it's a long season, so we'll see how that goes. The last thing too on Kaminga, I thought it was interesting. He kept trying to body Luka to me, and I kind of wanted to see him gap him more because when he bodied him, it kind of negated his foot speed advantage. You know what I mean? So I know Luka's going to do that to a lot of people regardless, but I just thought his approach defensively was interesting because the bodying him was not working for him. But otherwise, I thought he had a great game, and great to hear you guys tonight. I'll be listening all year, and have a good night.
No, I appreciate it, Duck Sauce. I think my Kaminga play was off a Horford rebound. He pushed it in transition. He basically led the break and found Steph for a wide open three. That was right before the Lakers went on their run before halftime. Put the Warriors up. I think it was 55-45. Max Lopez in the YouTube chat with the nod on that as well. I thought that was the play of the night from Kaminga. But to me, it's about intent. We've talked a lot about it. The intent is different. It just is. The intent is different. I'm kind of with Duck Sauce on Horford, Greg. There's going to be nights like that. Horford, I think a lot of nights is really going to help the Warriors. I think there's other nights where he is maybe going to look like somebody that's 39 and going to be 40, coming up next June. But all in all, having another big that can bang a little bit and help stretch the floor and just balance everything out for the rest of this Warriors roster, I do think is important. And so, I mean, you look at his overall line. I mean, he didn't shoot it well. He was a -10. He had 5 boards, and he was not his best night. But I think the Warriors are still trying to figure out the best combinations of players to have out there with him as well.
I also think that, like with Kevon Looney, many, many times, there are going to be nights where you're very glad you have the experience and the calming factor of somebody like Al Horford. And on top of that, the IQ and someone that's played at the highest level and won a championship. So, yeah, this was not an incredible debut, but everything so happened late for the Warriors in the offseason to where I'm not going to put too much concern into that just off of a sample size of 20 minutes here in this game one.
No, you got the win. You had enough other players playing well, which I think is the most important thing, and you'll take it the way that it played out. So good phone call from Duck Sauce tonight, and I think the Warriors will definitely sign up for and take what they got from Jonathan Kaminga in terms of intent. A lot of these other nights moving forward here. Throughout the course of the season. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. The 424 checking in. Warriors continually own the fraud fakers, taking over, making it chase south as always. I don't know about all that, but the Warriors, at least in the Jimmy Butler era, they got a couple of wins against the Lakers, both at the end of last year. And
if you remember, Jimmy Butler, when he came to the team, and he wasn't active for this one, but right after the trade, that was in that building when they had to play that without him, that game did not go well.
That was the Jimmy Butler. That was the Jimmy Butler intro press conference game. Yes. The Jimmy arrives about an hour before tip off and does a press conference in the press conference room at Crypto.com Arena. Continuing on here, more Kyle's Clicks jokes on you. JD, does Pods give you cause for concern? Turnstile on D, him and Curry give me shades of Curry. CP3 on D, way too small and can't stay in front of everyone. I got to see more. I thought, there were times where he got attacked tonight, but I think having Melton as an option is something like the Warriors don't really have another option and the things that Pods does, the Warriors really need. So while you can be concerned about his DME, he did take a charge tonight, which is kind of, that's what he does when he's playing well. It's not a concern yet, I guess is the short answer. Jokes on you, but it is why you build a roster with another guard that can play that position, that's got a little bit more experience and playoff experience in case that does become something that is of a concern. I just think he balances out everything else that the Warriors do, whether it's that group with Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, and pick your fifth. I mean, tonight it was Kaminga. It's just having somebody that's a ball mover out there, and he rebounds for better than his size at the position too. I just Pods brings things to the table that even if his defense isn't always there, he still tends to make a positive impact. And tonight I think was no different. I mean, really, you look up and Brandon Pajemski was number 3 in plus minus, really tied for second. Yeah, Jimmy was plus 20, Draymond was plus 20, and Brandon Pajemski was plus 13. He was number 3 in plus minus on the team. Buddy Hield 4, and then Kaminga 5 tonight with Steph Curry 6 in terms of plus minus, just a plus 1 for Curry. So the Warriors did a nice job in the non-Curry minutes in this game as well. They won the non-Curry minutes by a greater margin than they won the Curry minutes, which is a tell in them ultimately winning this game by 10.
Yeah, no question. Sorry, I wasn't sure if we were going to continue with Kyle's clicks or whatnot, but no, it was good to see all around. So.
Yeah, Fozzie, 17 from Buddy off the bench, exactly what we want to see. That's a good one there. We can continue with the greatest YouTube chat in sports. Really appreciate everybody jumping in and joining the conversation tonight as well. Here on the Sports Leader, as the Warriors get the win, 119 to 109. Also, want to let everybody know. Again, I was going to do this coming back for the break, but want to let everybody know our Dubs Roundtable is coming up before the home opener on Thursday out at Harmonic in Thrive City. I'm going to be on hand from Harmonic postgame, and we'll be doing the thing, Dubs OT, immediately following the Warriors and the Denver Nuggets. We will also have our Dubs Roundtable, which is going to feature Brian Murphy and Marcus Boucher and Greg Silver, and yours truly sitting in for Greg Papa, along with the Dirty Work fellas, Derek Papa and Adam Copeland. Will all be on hand there from 4 to 6. Dirty Work's going to do the first couple of hours from 2 to 4 out there at Harmonic. And yes, Fozzie, Dubs OT, every game. We are live after every game. Might be one here or there if there's a little bit of a 49er conflict, but the plan right now is to go all 82 in some form or fashion. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on the radio. We'll be on YouTube regardless. Obviously, there are some radio conflicts once we get into baseball season, and occasionally the Niners and Warriors are going to be playing. But we're going to find a spot. So, yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, and you get all the push notifications at KNBR and the YouTube push notifications as well. When we go live, you can jump in and join it. You can watch it back the next day. We podcast it wherever you get your podcasts the next day. So there are plenty of ways to listen and or watch the show however you want to consume it here on the Sports Leader. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And, yeah, Fozzie, every game we're going to do something here on the Sports Leader, and the Warriors off to a great start. Rockin' New Era 84. I love Looney, but Looney's movement was slow. Horford opens the floor and is a lot quicker. It's just balance. It's just a different player with a different skill set. Horford does some of what Looney does in terms of, like, Looney could get out there at the high post and dribble handoff and pass it a little bit. I mean, he did it at times when he was in for Draymond, but he's just not the threat offensively to be able to look to score to where it forces the defense to kind of separate and it opens up lanes. I mean, the Warriors I thought the Warriors cut extremely well tonight. Like they were moving and cutting. And there were times where the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers at times looked like they'd never seen a back cut. Knowing that the Warriors run a lot of that, a lot of that off the high post. And so, it definitely looked like they were a little bit lost, even though it's something that is going to be a part of the game action. But yeah, Horford's just a different player than Kevon Looney and a better player than Kevon Looney for all the ways that Kevon Looney, and we love Kevon Looney on this show, was great for the Warriors. Horford just does it in a different way. But yeah, the split action was there as a focal point for the Warriors a lot, and they were running cuts. They were running cuts off the baseline. They had a lot of things open to them tonight when the ball was moving. Other than that little stretch toward the end of the second quarter when things got a little bit stagnant and the Lakers were able to make their run. Wood put 420. Horford's 3-point threat is huge. You can't leave him like Loon. Yeah, completely different ball game. Great point there from Woodpit, 420 as the Warriors get the win. Another one from Max Lopez. It really is nice having Jimmy out there in late Steph bench minutes. Really helps the blood pressure. Yeah. I mean, he is just a calm. I mean, you just throw it. The Warriors have, since he's come to the Warriors in February, I mean, how many times, Greg, do you see they just throw it to Jimmy? And he just kind of holds on to it for 3 or 4 seconds, and all of a sudden he's got an advantage, or he's finding somebody, he's driving and kicking, he's driving and putting a pump fake on somebody for a layup, or he's getting a foul to where he's going to the line 16 times. He just really controls the game, and it's an element that the Warriors even at the peak of their powers, as great as they were, didn't really have a guy like that. Durant a little bit, but Durant would just settle for that pull-up jumper that was automatic, and he could get, anywhere between 10 and 17 feet anytime he wanted over the top of somebody, and it was a wrap on that front. Jimmy does it fundamentally, I think, Greg, in a much different way.
Well, how about the play where the ball was tipped and it was rolling over on the sidelines, and then Jimmy Butler just calmly let it go out because he knew that the Lakers had last touched it?
Yeah.
Like, the Warriors play fast and so frantic sometimes where I'm thinking, whoa, this is really weird to watch here for a moment, even though you're thinking, well, duh, yeah, just let it roll out, inbound the ball.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't believe that. I like, Jimmy, you could just grab it. Like, you just grab it, and he was like, "Nah, we're good. Nah, we're good." Payne, aggressive Jimmy tonight. Text line, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line 314. How about Buddy Love? How about some Buddy Love? Yeah, Buddy was terrific tonight. I mean, he is really. I mean, the Warriors have carved out a nice role for him. But 5 of 10 from 3. Plus, he got under Luka's skin a little bit tonight too. They were chirping a little bit back and forth, and Luka was getting frustrated with the officials, which was kind of a pregame topic for JJ Redick about Luka trying to continue to build championship habits. Was the way I think JJ Redick put it, by arguing with the officials less. And I thought Luka. I know that's been a point of contention. Steve's mentioned it as it relates to Podziemski. Draymond got a tech from the bench less than half a quarter into the game, or a little more than half a quarter into the game. You got Draymond picking up a tech, so like he was back in that form in a big way. But yeah, Buddy was under Luka's skin a little bit tonight, but it was apparent from pretty early on that if the Lakers were going to win this game, they were going to need Luka to basically go for 50 plus, and Reeves to probably go for 30 plus. And the Warriors were making it too difficult on them for that to happen. And the Lakers, I mean, look, LeBron James is, one of the greatest players of all time. Without LeBron, they just don't have enough, honestly, to beat good teams really consistently at all. They don't have enough offense, don't have enough playmakers. Defense tonight, I mean, the Warriors just, back cut them to death and move the ball on them. And so they'll figure it out and eventually get LeBron back, and they'll be, they're a pretty good team. Luka looks lean and in shape and that kind of thing. Obviously, LeBron's a game changer for any team, but I mean, this team without him, a lot of nights it could be yikes. As much as I think maybe they believe they have the ability because Luka's had to carry so many teams kind of as a one-man band that maybe they'll be all right. Maybe they are, but tonight it just didn't look like there was enough other talent beyond Austin Reeves out there to be able to put the ball in the basket.
Well, speaking of getting under the skin, how much more Jared Vanderbilt did we see after the technical foul where Draymond Green and him got into that little shoving match for a moment?
Yeah. I mean, him and Draymond for the second time, right? They got into it in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, right? The game at Chase early in the preseason. That first preseason game, and then they get into it again tonight there. Yeah, Vanderbilt's a hell of a defender, but Vanderbilt against the Warriors, I mean, forget about it. I mean, just he can defend and has at times defended Steph pretty well. I know that's something, but he's just a non-threat. I mean, look up and down. Again, I don't mean to kind of be going in on the Lakers here, but Hachimura hit 3 threes. But, that was it for him. Ayton, I mean, how many times Ayton either didn't know what to do or how he wanted to finish, at the rim. It didn't matter, really. I mean, Kaminga was on him on a couple. Draymond was on it. Like, Ayton just looked completely unsure. There was one point I think he had Podziemski on his back, and he put it on the floor. And it's like, what are you doing? Putting the ball on the floor, like, go up. Gabe Vincent gave him nothing tonight. I mean, Jake LaRavia, I think, is a nice bench player, but I mean, you look at, they do not have enough without LeBron in this current iteration. I think, that the Lakers are a team that the Warriors are probably going to be battling with here for seeding. Maybe the Warriors think they're not going to be, But I think, you look at it, and the Warriors just have more balance. I think they have more two-way players. They have more balance. Again, we can make a case that the Lakers have a third scorer that the Warriors don't in Reeves when LeBron's playing. But beyond that, I like the Warriors roster a lot more. They feel a lot more connected to me and complementary of each other. Harrison Aaron, Mike Dunleavy, early frontrunner for Executive of the Year. We can slow our roll on that one. One game in. Let's let these first. I think we got to let these first 5 games. I'm kind of looking at the first 5 games. I know we talked about it today with the Laker game and then the home opener against Denver. They go to Portland. They don't play Saturday or Sunday, but then Monday, Tuesday, they play the Grizzlies. And I'm forgetting the Grizzlies and the Clippers in a home back-to-back. So they're going to play, that's a week from tonight, that 5th game. So they're going to play a couple of back-to-backs here coming up over the course of the next week. So we're going to have to, I think that's a good sample. You're playing a team in Denver that's a contender. You're playing Portland, which is kind of a young, they believe, up-and-coming team. We don't really know where the Grizzlies are at. The Clippers have been a nemesis of the Warriors, as has Denver for the most part. So I think it's a good balance of different styles of team to kind of see how the Warriors shake out and shake up here in the first week plus of the season.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's a funny comment for sure, but turns out, guys, that actually all the inactivity was just what the Warriors needed. A nice summer vacation and reset for all these older players here on an NBA roster.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. Well, it's funny. I mean, there was a lot of hand wringing and consternation about like what is going on. I mean, the Warriors ended up with everybody that they wanted. They got everybody that they wanted eventually, and it looked like everything was for the most part pretty dialed in. But yeah, we'll see. And they do have players obviously that are going to be coming back and able to be added. Let's get a couple of more here in before we take our next time out. EB here, Al Horford lost out there. He's never seen the ball move so fast. Steve Kerr got to have a sit down with him. Yeah, Horford, I will say Horford is, I think, it is a little slower the way the Celtics run a lot of their stuff. He did a lot of dribble handoffs with the Celtics, but the Celtics are much more an isolation-based draw and kick type of a team from 3-point range. He did a lot of the dribble handoff stuff, but yeah, the ball was hopping tonight. That was something that was definitely noticeable. Third quarter won it for the Dubs, no question. It was the first and the third quarters for the Dubs, but really the third quarter after the Lakers had made their run before halftime. The beginning of the third quarter, 18-4 run, keyed by Jonathan Kaminga. He had 13 in the quarter. The 3 3-pointers, the way that he played, again, it was a lot of Jimmy all night. It was kind of a quiet Steph 23 night, hits the dagger at the end to put the game away. And then Kaminga with a really impactful third quarter 17, Buddy Hield with his 17, and then timely 3-point makes from Hield at the beginning of the fourth quarter, from Kaminga throughout the course of the third quarter. And then I thought the Draymond and Will Richard 3-pointers were the two keys there in the fourth quarter to keep the Warriors out and to the lead, even though the Lakers were trying to make some kind of a run, although it really didn't feel like the Warriors were in, even when it got cut down to 6, it really didn't feel like the Lakers or the Warriors were in too much of a danger zone here. Let's do 2 more, Kyle, and then we'll say goodnight to Greg Silver, and we'll continue on with the show. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 if you want to jump in and join the conversation on the phone lines as well, as the Warriors win at 119-109. Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader, and Greg and Kyle. Appreciate Greg after us doing the show together today for hanging out here for basically a full hour as we get the show going here on the Sports Leader. Seth is important when the Buddy experience goes on holiday. That from our buddy Erwin Kwong. Again, it gives you another option. I keep saying it, but I like how the Warriors have a little bit of, they almost have 2 guys at a couple of these spots. You've got Melton and Pod, you got Post and Horford, you've got Curry when he comes back and Buddy. They're just a little bit more protected along those lines. All right, one more, we got to get out here. Rich Ray, Steve clearly likes Will Richard. I think I said it. I thought Steve was thinking about starting him. And he ended up going with Kaminga. It was the right call, but he was definitely going to play for Moses Moody. All right, Greg, appreciate you, my man. We got to take a quick time out here at the top of the hour, but thank you so much for hanging on. We'll bid you farewell for the evening. Have a great show tomorrow with Papa as he's back 10-2, and we'll talk to you Thursday night.
Yeah, can't wait. Appreciate you having me on. It was good to be back. It was good to be back with the chat and a lot of our callers and everything. So enjoy Sounds of Dubs OT and everything else that I'm going to miss. But glad that we got Dubs OT back, and that's a quality way to start the season for the Dubs.
All right, for Greg and Kyle, we're still coming back. Have a good night to Greg. Sounds of Dubs OT coming up, fun with numbers and more from the YouTube chat, all straight ahead here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, welcome back. Dubs OT with JD. Our big thanks to Kyle Haar and Greg Silver. Greg on with his night. Make sure you check out Greg Silver back with Greg Papa tomorrow here on the Sports Leader, 10 a.m. until 2. It was a pleasure, as it has been here. We wish Greg all the best, and he's doing well. But always a pleasure to be able to sit in as Greg continues his fight. Yes, Kyle, I did hit the smelling salts during the break. Had a little rush here. Sometimes you got to go to the smelling salts a little bit.
You have any extra for me?
These shows get a little bit like, yeah, I got a couple for you that I can get you before Thursday night out at Harmonic in Thrive City. But let's get to it. We got fun with numbers coming up. More Kyle's clicks, our comment of the night as well here on Dubs OT as the Warriors win 119-109. They get the job done over the Lakers. They're 1-0. Big nights from Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, along with Jonathan Kaminga and Buddy Hield to lead the way for the Warriors as they win the season opener. All right, let's get to it here. Sounds of Dubs OT. And let's start with Steve Kerr. I like to start with Steve Kerr. So let's start with Steve Kerr. And after the Lakers had cut the Warriors' 10-point first half lead down to 1, Warriors only up 1 at the half. Steve Kerr describes a little pep talk that went on at halftime in the Crypto.com arena locker room.
Yeah, the whole talk at halftime was, let's use Steph Curry. Let's use his movement and put pressure on the defense. And because we didn't do that in the first half. And Jonathan, the first few plays of the third quarter, it was beautiful. He screened for Steph, slipped to the rim. Draymond got him a bucket. We ran our split cut stuff. They both went with Steph. He hit the wide open 3. I think he just has a better sense of what's needed now compared to past years, and I think Jimmy has really helped him too. Jimmy has really talked to him a lot during camp. He's taken him aside after practices, and I think Jonathan is. You got to remember he just turned 23. So I talk about this a lot, but he's basically he played 8 games in the G League bubble. Then came to us basically as like a freshman in college. That's how I looked at it. And so a lot of the players today just don't get the same experience reps that they did years ago. And for him, it hasn't been easy to find minutes on our team. And I'm really proud of him for staying with it and really maturing. And it's a great start for him and for us.
Yeah, really good start for Jonathan Kaminga. And Steve mentioned before the ball game the fact that more to the point on Jimmy Butler, that Jimmy Butler's taken him aside after practice. They've played one-on-one, I guess. Even yesterday they played a little bit of one-on-one before the team got on the flight to go to Los Angeles for this game. And that Jimmy has really been talking to him. And, yeah, I mean, they got on the same page. There was a big question as to whether they could or would. And I give Kaminga credit for showing the intent that he hasn't really showed before. I also give Steve Kerr credit for rewarding Kaminga for trying in the preseason to go about it the right way. And look, if Moses Moody was healthy, Moses Moody would have started tonight along with Pajemski and Steph and Jimmy and Draymond. But Moses Moody wasn't. And that opened the door for a spot in the starting lineup. And Kerr, I think, looked at the prior game that Kaminga had against the Lakers in April, and I think Kerr looked at the fact that Kaminga had really tried to do the things that the coaching staff has wanted him to do in these last couple of weeks during training camp, and so he rewarded him with the start. And Kaminga was doing a lot of things really well, even though he wasn't making shots, but he stuck with them, and the shots eventually started falling, and that proved to be a true game changer. Let's get another from Steve Kerr here post-game as the Warriors get the 10-point win over the Lakers. Steve Kerr talking here about Draymond Green and the first half versus the second half.
Second half is what we're hoping for. 6 turnovers, really good flow offensively, ball movement to force the defense to react. That's the team we're looking for. The defense I thought was great in the first half, other than a few fouls. But Draymond was just a monster, guarding the whole court in that first half. It was amazing to watch. But second half, that's how it has to look for us with the ball security and the movement, and Jimmy and Steph, playing through those guys and everybody else kind of filling their roles.
Yeah, it looked really good. I thought in terms of the ball movement without the turnovers, in particular, as it related to the second half, was critical. And I thought the Warriors, again, I've talked a lot about intent tonight, but a lot of the Warriors' intent, I think, was there from the jump in terms of the defensive intent and the game plan, and really trying to make Luka and Austin Reeves work for everything that they got, while understanding that the Lakers didn't have enough in other areas potentially to really beat them. And so I think that was obviously something that was important. Let's continue on here. More sounds of Dubs OT after Steve Kerr. Let's hear one from Steph, one from Draymond, and one from Jimmy Butler. Here's Steph talking about the second quarter and the difference between what went awry in the second quarter and what came alive for them in the third.
I mean, we got stops, but I think in the second quarter we kind of got a little stagnant on offense, and our organized chaos took over that first 4 minutes. Easy layups, easy catch and shoot threes, just off of ball movement. So Warrior basketball took over.
Yeah, that courtesy of NBC, NBA and NBC back here for the first time since 2002. And yeah, the organized chaos and the ball movement and the ball hopping around. And they just, I mean, there's no other way to say it, Kyle. They took the Lakers apart at the beginning of that third quarter. And it was reminiscent of a lot of the big third quarters that the Warriors have had when the Warriors have been at their very best here over the course of the last few seasons. From Steph, let's go to Draymond, and Draymond addressing something that I'm not sure everybody was worried about, but maybe he's going way back. Maybe he's going back to like initially at the trade deadline, and Jimmy comes over and it's February and he's walking into crypto.com arena in the press conference room and being introduced. But Draymond talking about his relationship with Jimmy, and we got a little jokey joke here, Kyle. Little jokey joke from Draymond talking about Buddy and Jimmy here at the end of this.
There was kind of this misconception of, oh man, Draymond's an alpha. Him and Jimmy are going to clash, but I've never really seen two alphas clash, because there's a respect for knowing how you are and what you are and how you go about things. And so, yeah, I mean, I think everybody just think I'm a complete idiot and I'm going to get into it with everybody, and that's fine. But one of the better teammates I've had, no question. He's the ultimate team guy. You look at those Miami teams and why they were able to win, where they were. He was uplifting so many guys that may not necessarily be exactly who they looked like in the position next to him. But when you got a leader like that that's capable of creating any shot for you and uplifting you and making you believe you can do more than you can, that's the result of it. So it's been fun having him as a teammate. The chemistry's great. Everybody can stop worrying about me and Jimmy. They should worry about Buddy and Jimmy.
All right, so a little funny nod there at the end of that clip. But yeah, I mean, I always think anytime you have a couple of pass first guys, you never worry about whether they're going to clash. And I know it was more personality based than maybe basketball based, the concerns about that. But I think a lot of Jimmy Butler's issues throughout the course of his career they've been more contract related. They've been more, feeling unappreciated or disrespected, that kind of thing, maybe in his own organization. So I think, that's been that's been something that more than like clashes with individual players, and the individual players that maybe Jimmy's clashed with have been guys who have been soft, or the perception of them is that they're soft. Cat Karl Anthony Towns, meow, and so that is not the case with Draymond Green. So I think anytime you have a couple of guys that really get after it, I don't think there is necessarily going to be the potential to clash. But it's like, yeah, who are the guys that Jimmy Butler is? I mean, I'm not going to run through a bunch of different guys here, but like, who are the guys that like Jimmy didn't like? I mean, really, it's the big one is what, Cat and Jeff Teague and Taj Gibson and a bunch of those guys on the Timberwolves. So yeah, nothing. It has been much ado about nothing. Those two clashing. They've worked in lockstep really from the beginning. All right, last cut here is going to be from Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler post game talking about Jonathan Kaminga and putting all of the contract issues behind. And Kaminga, I think, has done it these last couple of weeks, and he certainly did it tonight. Here's Jimmy Butler on JK and turning the focus toward this season and what the Warriors' ceiling can be.
You just let people talk, let your game speak for itself, which it has, and everybody will forget about it sooner or later. You weren't in the wrong. You were doing what was best for you. We're not mad at that. I've been in that before, along with countless other people probably on this roster and around the league. It's behind everybody now. So now he's part of that. I got one goal in mind, and that's to win a championship.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And I think that's been on. It could have lingered. It could have been weird. It could have been an issue, but it has not been an issue. And I think it really has not felt like it was an issue. Even in the early part of camp, it didn't feel like it was. And I think part of the reason it doesn't feel like an issue is, look, it's either going to work, and Kaminga is going to do what's in the best interest for the team, which is also going to be in the best interest for him, whether he remains with the Warriors or winds up elsewhere. But he's going to do what's best for the team, or he's just not going to play. I mean, that's the thing where I think it really reached kind of an endpoint. I think so often over the last few years, there's been this, well, you have to play him, and he's the future, and he's a part of it. And even if he's not playing well, he's still got to get out there because he's the guy you picked, number 7. And now it's just, nope, he got paid. If it doesn't go well, it's going to come to a head, and he's going to be elsewhere. But it is in everybody's best interest for him to get in where he fits in now, being paid. And look, he's getting paid about 3 times as much as he was getting paid before, going back to last year. So he's been rewarded in that sense. So you move past it. And yeah, I haven't gotten the sense at any point in the last 3 weeks that there's been anything concerning about the contract or the way the offseason played out was a little weird. It was a little unconventional, but it's not like it wound up preventing the Warriors from getting anything done that they wanted to get done. It was only a matter of, was Jonathan Kaminga going to wind up in a sign and trade somewhere, or was he going to wind up coming back at a minimum, short term till January 15th, at a maximum, who knows, based on how this thing shakes out. So far, 1 for 1. But I give, as we mentioned in the last segment, a lot of credit to Kaminga for putting it all behind him. I give a lot of credit to Steve Kerr as well for clearly getting through and having a conversation with him as training camp began, and he reported, and then rewarding him, because you could see a lot of the things that he was doing in the preseason. You could see that he was trying. You could see that he was really trying to rebound. He was really trying to pass the ball first. He was trying not to take bad shots. He took a few bad shots tonight, but you know what? He also made some shots later on in the game. Who cares? That you can live with some bad shots if the hustle game is there, and the hustle game was there in a big time way. So good stuff there from Jimmy Butler as the Warriors get this win, 119-109 over the Lakers down in Los Angeles. As we wrap things up here, it's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Again, want to let everybody know we've got our Dubs Roundtable coming up on Thursday. That's going to be 4 to 6 at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. stop by, say hi. We're going to have all our hosts together, and we're going to be talking about this game and the rest of this Warrior season. Dirty Work with Copes and Derek Papa from 2 to 4, and then everybody, myself, Greg Silver, Derek and Copes, Brian Murphy, Marcus Boucher. We're all going to be out there talking Dubs from 4 to 6 at Harmonic in Thrive City, and then Dubs OT from Harmonic in Thrive City as well, immediately following the game. And a lot of games coming up here with the Nuggets on Thursday in the home opener, and then the Warriors go up to Portland before a couple of more games Monday and Tuesday. So this thing is just getting started for Golden State as they get the 10-point win here. All right, let's do some rapid fire Kyle's clicks here in the YouTube chat to close things out. We also have fun with numbers coming up before we call it a night and move on into Wednesday. Erwin Kwong, I feel like someone needs to bring JD a Kolsch. Yeah, Kolsch should be good. Maybe a Pilsner. That would be great. I'd settle for like a Diet Pepsi at this point. I had to hit the smelling salts during the last break. I felt like I was getting a little drowsy. But yeah, Kolsch is always good. We'll find a spot to get a Kolsch here coming up in the next half hour. Bennett Roth, Kolschminga. Kolschminga. Yeah, we'll have a Kolschminga on Thursday out at Harmonic. San Jose Jazz fan 8. We're all the way up to 8 now. How many accounts did you get banned from, Jazz fan? We get 5, 6, 7. All got banned in this between May and now. Kaminga may be changing the hearts and minds of a few people with his performance tonight. Cough, cough, cough. JD cough. We'll see. It's one game, but I subscribe to you play well, you get credit. You don't play well, we talk about it. It's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. Kaminga played well tonight. And hey, he played well tonight. He's going to get more opportunities. If he doesn't, then they'll be moving in a different direction. And the Warriors are going to have other players on the roster that they can play as they project to be a pretty deep team. But yeah, so far so good for Jonathan Kaminga in game 1. If Jimmy doesn't get hurt and Steph in the playoffs, the Dubs go further last year. Yeah, I mean, can't do anything about that now. I mean, it is painful. I think if you're a Warriors fan to think about it, I mean, we're 5 months and a week now removed from that. Probably, if Steph doesn't get hurt, probably. But what good does it do to be thinking about that now? It's a new season. It happened, and you got to move forward. Doctor can't say that. I'm not going to say that. Dr. P. On the chat. Smart should be fined and suspended for that arm bar on Steph Curry. Yeah, that was a dirty play. That really was a dirty play. He could pop a shoulder out, potentially doing that. But yeah, Marcus Smart looked like a little bit less of Marcus Smart than we've seen in recent years. But yeah, Marcus. I mean, the Lakers are depending on Marcus Smart in 2025. 2025, not 2018. It's 2025, not 2021. It's about to be 2026. YK, welcome back, everybody. I'm excited for the ride. Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. As the great Marty Lurie says, 81 to go. Only 81 to go. One down, 81 to go here. But we're going to be along for the ride. Don't forget about Cam Johnson. What is that in reference to?
I miss him.
Oh, on the Nuggets? I mentioned the Nuggets and didn't mention Cam Johnson or Bruce Brown for like I did all summer no more Cam Johnson trade wishes.
I'm gonna miss it
on Dubs OT. I'm gonna miss it too. But yeah, the Nuggets. We joked about it when we did our draft show, Kyle. It was our free agency, whatever it was, our off-season show. We have all these plans, right? Oh, we're going to do all these shows in the off-season. You know, the Warriors are going to do this. And then they did nothing. We did one show. On draft night because literally nothing happened from the end of the season other than the draft night until basically training camp started. But, yeah, Nuggets basically took the JD – I think
they were listening. I think they were listening.
the Nuggets had somebody in their office that was listening to Dubs OT like, this guy's pretty smart, man. We should get Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown and Valanciunas. They literally got 3 guys I've been trying to put on the Warriors for like 2 years.
And don't give them any kind of GM money either.
Yeah, no. Just a prog rock out at Harmonic. Rich Ray beat LA in LA. Yeah, Warriors get the job done there. And of course, always nice to relish in NorCal beating SoCal. Estimated Eyes didn't show up today. I feel cheated, JD. Yeah, one of the regulars that's got to get with it here in the YouTube chat. No question about that. So yeah, it will be fun to see the Nuggets on Thursday as well. And coming up in a couple of weeks, the Warriors are playing the Nuggets in Denver as well. I think the first week of November. So Warriors going to get a look at the new look Nuggets, the Nuggets who I think can contend for a title with their offseason moves. Horford got a moving screen foul tonight. It reminded me of Looney. Yeah, that's not a bad call there. Kyle, how many more do we got? We got 2 more, 1 more. You have the comment of the night lined up.
Sorry, the video is lagging. Well, let's do 2 more. We'll do 1 more before our comment of the night.
All right, 1 more here after the Horford moving screen from the best YouTube chat going. Kaminga stands having a parade tomorrow. Good for those people. Now, that's just mean. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. The guy played well. We can slow the roll on the whole, like, he played well, and now I'm with Steph Curry, who said it a bunch of different times. Like, we don't have to do the thing every night where he plays well and we anoint him a future star. He can just be a role player that played really well tonight and helped them win. Like, can we just stop at that? He was a role player who started, played well tonight, was among the best 3-4 players on the team tonight, and helped them get a win. Like, that can be enough. Trust me, that's enough for the Warriors in that locker room. But yeah, if you want to have a parade tomorrow, have a parade tomorrow. I mean, he played well. If he's your guy, you're holding out hope that he's going to be there for the long term. You never know. I mean, that was definitely on the bingo card for the Warriors. It's definitely on the bingo card that he could play well enough to where, do you really want to trade him? I guess 1 for 1. We'll see how the next 50 games go between now and the trade deadline, which will go a long way toward determining that. All right? Let's get to our Dubs OT comment of the night.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
All right, this from Sear. Luka definitely looks leaner, but he also looks fluffier than the Men's Health magazine cover. What? Yeah, Luka's leaner. Luka's definitely leaner. And try not to whine to the officials. Although he did get
off topic, but now that we're talking about leaner, Zion looks leaner. Did you see that photo of him?
Okay,
he looked like he shedded some weight.
Okay, well, that's good, and hopefully, I mean, for his sake, hopefully he can keep it off and stay healthy, because his problem has been when he has not been healthy, he's tended to kind of balloon back up. So, but yeah, that would be big if he can, because he's definitely going to be. I think we'll see. I'm kind of out on the Pelicans. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Kyle. I'm out on the Pelicans. The Pelicans didn't make my top. They didn't make my top.
Uncle Loon didn't make your top 11. 10? Oh, or top 11?
They didn't make my top. They didn't make my top 12 in the.
Come on,
they didn't make my top 12 in the Western. They do. They have Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney and Zion.
What a trio!
That is a trio, to be sure. But no, they didn't. I stopped at 10, 11. I'm not going to run through it. I'm not going to run through it all tonight. We'll get into our.
That's definitely like a Just Dubs topic, I think.
It is. And by the way, for those of you, we are going to start Just Dubs on Saturdays, but we're going to be, because of the 49ers schedule that's coming up, and the Niners with a couple of road games in Houston and New York the first couple of weeks here of the NBA season, we are going to start Just Dubs, but tentatively scheduled to start on Saturdays mid-November. We're talking November 8, November 15, somewhere in there, and then we'll get that rolling each and every Saturday morning here on the Sports Leader as well. Moving forward here. But yeah, tonight was all about the game. Warriors get the win 119-109. We will spend the better part of this first week getting into some different topics on the show in the greater NBA landscape. That's something that we can do as the season unfolds. What a terrific, I jokingly called it the JV game, but I mean, it is the defending champions in OKC against Houston. What a great game and eventual win in that one for Oklahoma City, who trailed a good chunk of the night, and in overtime, and in the second overtime really went back and forth and ended up OKC pulling it out in the home opener on ring night, the banner raising there in OKC 125-124 into overtime. So we'll get into a lot of season look ahead type stuff as well here, not only on Thursday, but Friday, and those two shows from Harmonic next week on Monday and Tuesday. So big thanks to everybody in the YouTube chat, our Dubs OT comment of the night, and thanks to Kyle and Kyle's clicks. All right, let's do some fun with numbers here before we wrap things up and head on into the middle of the week.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, fun with numbers. Let's start here. Warriors on the road for the second straight season opener. Last year, if you recall, winning in Portland in the season opener. And do you remember what happened the last time the Warriors opened a season in LA against the Lakers and got a win, Kyle Hard? Do you remember what year that was? Anyone? Kyle?
I don't.
Anyone?
I really don't.
It was 2021. 2021, as in October of 21. It was the first game of what went on to be a championship season for the Warriors. They won on a Tuesday night in the same time slot. It was on TNT. The Warriors got the win over the Lakers, and it was the first of a bunch of wins, 53 in the regular season and then 16 in the playoffs in a year that ultimately culminated with a championship. They started in LA. They ended in Boston, some 8 months later on the calendar with an NBA championship. But the Warriors, for the second straight year, get a win on the road to begin things, and the Warriors doing it for the first time in LA since that 2021-22 season. Warriors home opener against the Nuggets. We talked about that. That's coming up on Thursday night. And it'll be the first of 15 back-to-backs for the Dubs. Some individual numbers. Jimmy Butler, game-high 31, 16-16 at the free throw line. The most free throws ever made by a Warriors player in a season-opening game. As Butler, 16 free throw attempts there. You've got others who have had more in the all-time Warriors history. I mean, you're talking about guys like Wilt Chamberlain and the like. Steph Curry, 17th year for Steph. My goodness, incredible. 23 points among active players. Steph, the most seasons with any one team, obviously going all the way back to 2009. Buddy, 5 3-pointers, 17 points there. The 5 3-pointers, Buddy, tremendous effort. He had 3. He had 5 3-pointers last year, by the way, in the opener. That was the other parallel there. In Portland last year, he had 5 threes, and that one, his Warriors debut. Remember, Buddy was on fire to begin the season, a big part of the Warriors' 12-3 run there. Jonathan Kaminga tonight, 17 points, 9 boards. The 9 boards was a team high, and it looked like Jonathan Kaminga was going to, for a good chunk of the night, wind up leading the Warriors in assists as well. Draymond Green ended up with 9 assists to take that nod, but Kaminga 17, 9, and 6. And the Warriors ended up with just short of the 30 mark in terms of overall assists. But Kaminga led the team in rebounding and was second in assists tonight with 6. Draymond Green had 9, Jimmy Butler 4, Steph with 4 as well. But Kaminga equaled the most 3-pointers he's made in a game, equaled the most 3-pointers he's made in a quarter of any game tonight by hitting 3 and 4 respectively. And the 6 assists is one off a career high 7. So the first time in Kaminga's career, we talked about it, saying that Kaminga was doing things that we haven't seen. Literally, Kaminga's never had as many as nine boards and 6 assists in the same game before. And he did it while also knocking down the 3 ball. Just a terrific game for Jonathan Kaminga. And Will Richard deserves a nod tonight as well as NBA debut. We talked about it the last couple of weeks or the last week or so, filling in for Papa here on the Sports Leader. 5 points, knocked down a big 3 in the fourth quarter, had a board, had an assist, had a steal, played 14 minutes, and he looks like somebody that is kind of born to contribute, to be perfectly honest, in a minor way. It become more and more apparent here in the last week or two that he was going to be in the Warriors rotation with Moses Moody out, and he was in the Warriors rotation tonight. So that you're fun with numbers as the Warriors win 119-109 in Los Angeles over the Lakers. Kyle, great stuff, my man. Really appreciate it. Final thought to you here tonight as we call it a night in the opener. You ready for 81 more plus, 20 more after that? What do you think? You in for like 100 more?
Tonight was fun. I'm glad everything, no technical errors. That was great. And I'm ready for 81 more. You may or may not see a new face, not soon, but later in the season. You may see some Cole LaPelt, who is our sound editor tonight, and he's been doing a great job. You might get some Cole.
Big thanks to Cole LaPelt in our San Francisco studios as well. Anybody else tonight, or was it just a Cole and Kyle show? We have Kyle Chung's plus minus.
Oh yeah, Kyle Chung, like nowhere near the vicinity of the Daly City studio, but plus minus always shows up.
Yeah, Kyle Chung plus 4 tonight. Not maybe his best, but still solid.
Yeah, I don't think he got a lot of minutes, but they were quality.
But always quality. So big thanks to Cole. Big thanks to the Kyles. And once again, join us out at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City on Thursday, 2:00 for the Dirty Work Show with Copes and Depop. And then 4 to 6 are Dubs Roundtable, all the hosts together and talking Dubs basketball. And then a good one for the Warriors home opener with the Warriors and the Nuggets, first of the back-to-back, and we're going to be all over it. We'll talk to you after the game from Harmonic in Thrive City, and then on to Portland before the weekend, and back at Harmonic in Thrive City for Monday and Tuesday against the Grizzlies and against the Clippers. Going to be a fun first week of the season. That'll do it. Again, thanks to everyone in the YouTube chat. Thanks to those who called in, especially early in the program and on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. We will talk to you Thursday, but keep it locked right here all day long tomorrow as we'll be breaking down tonight's game and looking ahead at the remainder of this Warrior season here on the Sports Leader. Warriors win it 119-109. Hit that outro montage, Kyle. We'll talk to you Thursday.
Butler, 3. Kaminga up high for the board. Butler inside. Hayden, 7 to shoot. Curry, deep one. Bullseye. Steph Curry. Alien-like tendencies showcase in downtown Los Angeles.
Big fat dub.
Ain't nobody going to stop me. I just wake up and I can shoot it no matter if I'm playing or not.
But great win.
Who are these guys? I love you, JD. Bye, sugar.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
Jimmy freaking Butler
puts it in.
Obviously, I'm shooting the ball well. It's pretty obvious.
Batman comes out of nowhere. You never see him coming, then he just fall from the sky, from a building, behind the door. Everything's gonna be all right.